Hello, how are you today? My name is Stephanie Ani, and hello to family and friends and to artists. I used to have a YouTube channel, so I wanted to give a special shout out to those of you that I haven't seen for about 1.5 years, but I've been pretty sick, and this is not going to be a fun art video, unfortunately. This is going to be, the short story is, I'm really sick and I need a transplant. There's good and bad news there. The bad news is I need a transplant. The good news is there is a transplant. We didn't know that there was a transplant option until July or August of this year. Other than that, I thought I was just going to die. Not kidding. So, short story. I've teamed up with a foundation called helphopelive.org, and what they do is it allows people to make a tax-deductible charitable contribution to my fund, and then once the funds have been received, they then directly pay the medical bills. So it will go to paying co-pays and medications and specialist visits and future visits and per diems, you know, for things like the parking alone is going to be like $210 a month. With a transplant, I'm going to be in the hospital for 2 to 3 months, where 3 months is the most likely number. So, I mean, that's $600 worth of parking fees alone. Almost $700, $650. So, it will also go to an end-of-life fund. So, if I die through the process, which is entirely possible, the funds would go towards funeral expenses, which would be great because I don't have a savings account. And it'd be really nice to not have to have my family have to pay for my funeral. So, short story is, if you can donate to help me pay these medical expenses that are going to be incurred through this transplant, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. So, that's a big sentence, isn't it? And I wanted to just get that out of there for those people that have, you know, don't have the time to listen to the whole story. Now, the rest of the story is, I have Crohn's disease. I've had Crohn's disease for 20 years, if not longer. I was diagnosed finally in 2007. And my intestine's failing. It's failing, and I'll show you a picture later on to show you how bad it is. What is Crohn's disease? Crohn's disease is an autoimmune disease where your body attacks itself. It affects people differently. It can affect anywhere in your digestive tract, from entrance to exit. So it can affect anywhere along your digestive tract. So most people have 18 to 25 feet of small intestine. So this blue here and this orange is your small intestine. So food comes through your stomach, and then it goes through your small intestine to be, which is where all the vitamins and nutrients are absorbed from your food. So what your small intestine does is it absorbs vitamins and nutrition. And then once the food goes through there, then it's transferred into your large intestine, which is where it comes out on the exit. So that's how people normally are. Your small intestine is normally a very soft, supple tube that's 3/4 of an inch to an inch wide. So you have a nice, soft, supple tube, and you've got feet of this stacked upon each other and just kind of free floats around in there when it's healthy. My small intestine looks nothing like that. Over the years, I've had 3 major surgeries where they've taken out different sections of my small intestine that have been diseased. So they'll remove 9 inches here, and they'll remove 8 inches here, and they'll remove 18 inches here where it had a big long stricture or diseased area. What is a stricture? That's a big word. A stricture is caused when, for me, my Crohn's disease affects people differently. But for me, my body sees food as the enemy. And when it's in my small intestine, it will send T cells to go in and fight the enemy. And when that happens, it makes that tube, it builds up scar tissue around the inside of that tube. And it builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up. And in that time, it also creates a lot of rigidity. And so the soft, supple tube becomes stiff. And I have 6 strictures in my stomach that are approximately 1 to 3 centimeters wide by very long. So my intestine is, you know, an inch around, but it only has a 1 centimeter opening through it. So my general understanding of what my intestine looks like is something like this, which this is a very rough drawing. But when I had my upper GI with the contrast in July, August, somewhere in there, the radiologist was very clear to me about how this all looked. So I have my stomach and my digium are pretty normal looking. But then the diseased section starts here in my jejunum, the second part of my small intestine, where this section is fused together. I have approximately 8 feet or less of small intestine left after all of my surgeries. I only have 8 feet left. So this first part is fused together. So it's stacked upon each other, but it's fused together. So it's no longer free floating. He pushed on it. It didn't spread apart. It stuck together. So I have this mass that's stuck together, and then I have a stricture, and then I have a balloon, then I have a stricture. So the stricture is about the size of a bar straw. So imagine balloon, bar straw, balloon, bar straw. So the balloon is where all of this food is collecting, and it's trying to get through the bar straw, and it can't get through. And so a little bit at a time, it's getting through the bar straw. And then it's collecting here, and then it's going through the bar straw. I've got 6 of those. And then at the end, I have another part that's just fused together. And then it goes into my colon or large intestine, and I've lost part of my colon also. So it's very, 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 very bad. And when my disease is still very active, and that means that the swelling still happens. When you have a 1 centimeter opening and you have swelling happening inside of that, then it completely closes down your intestines, which is why I've been having to do liquid diet lately. Generally by mid-afternoon, I'm stopping eating solid food because my body, my stomach is just ballooning up and cramping, diarrhea, vomiting, nausea. So I know my body well enough that I'm avoiding most of the nausea at this point in time. That's just because I'm taking ridiculous amounts of medicine. And it's really scary because I'm almost out of that medication. And that medication is the only thing that keeps the nausea at bay. And once that medication's gone, my doctor isn't going to give me any more. He barely gave me this prescription. And, well, we'll talk about the whole doctor situation here in a minute, but our healthcare system needs some serious help. Okay, where were we at? Let me get back to this. I've got to get back to my notes so that I can get through this in a faster time here. All right. So with all these surgeries, I already cannot absorb iron, B12, or D vitamins. The fear was that I would get short gut syndrome. Well, there's not if, it's a now. Basically, my body is no longer absorbing vitamins from my food. It must be absorbing some of them because honestly, the test, I already have a short gut. When I lose my full intestine, I will have short gut syndrome. And that's where your body no longer absorbs any vitamins, nutrition. So they're just going to cut it out. And when they cut it out, they basically, I will no longer be able to eat and drink any longer. I'll have to be on TPN, which is intravenous nutrition, IV nutrition. And you have 5 veins that can take the IV nutrition, and those blow out. And within 2 years, you are just basically dead. Wouldn't ever be able to eat again. That's my future without a transplant. With a transplant, my future looks much, much brighter. I would actually maybe even be able to eat normally again. I would be able to eat a salad. I have a no fiber diet at this point. 0 fiber. So that's no fruits, no vegetables, no citrus, no, you know, I can have cooked carrots, I can have potatoes, I can have avocados, and that's about it as far as vegetables go. So I have a very, very limited diet, which I've had for 20 years. So let's see where I'm at. I've been on prednisone now, high dose of prednisone since November 11th, which was the last time I went to the ER. I went into the ER with severe cramping. I was screwed. It was really bad. They put a nose tube down my nose to suction out my intestines to relieve the pressure from that direction, and then they didn't allow me to eat or drink for 4 days, and then they sent me home, which I continued to do the liquid diet for a couple days after that because I didn't want to end up back in the ER, and I knew that 4 days wasn't long enough, and so I stayed on the liquid diet. And high amounts of prednisone. I've been on a high dosage of prednisone since that visit. I have not worked since November 11th. I have no income. I have not received unemployment. Nothing. It's very scary. So I'm not working. I don't have any benefits. I need a transplant, and I'm going to be in the hospital for 2 to 3 months. Your donation again would go to directly cover copays, medications, specialist visits, end of life, all those things. To be fantastic. The good news is that once I get this transplant, then hopefully I'll be able to have a normal life. I'd be able to eat a salad again. I would be able to eat normal food. I might be able to have a glass of wine. To be fantastic. Or a beer. I'd be really happy. I haven't been able to do that for years. I haven't been able to have a drink basically since about, well, right when COVID started. So I've been fighting this for a very long time, and we're now down to the wire. And luckily I'm within 15 miles of there are only 5 hospitals in the United States that do this surgery, and I live 15 miles from Georgetown University, which is one of the best. Now, getting from Kaiser to Georgetown has been the struggle, and it's been a massive struggle. But, you know, maybe I'll start doing TikToks and letting people know all of the fight that I've had to do with this situation, because it's been pretty tough, and I think that would be a good way to document things. I will try to keep you updated on how I'm doing, and if you can donate, I would greatly appreciate it, and if you can't, I completely understand. Just throw out some good thoughts to the universe for me. And I hope you are all doing well, and I've missed you, and I care about you, and I still think about all of my artists, and of course my family and my friends. I miss you all. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I love you, and have a great day.